Donald John Trump. Born in Queens, New York in 1946. He was the fourth of 5 children. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer. This meant Donald grew up surrounded by wealth and ambition. His childhood home was a far cry from the streets of Queens. It was a mansion in Jamaica Estates. Despite his privileged upbringing, Donald was sent to New York Military Academy at age 13. His father believed the strict environment would instill discipline. At the academy, Donald thrived. He excelled academically and in sports, even becoming a star athlete. After graduating, he enrolled at Fordham University. He later transferred to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. There, he followed in his father's footsteps, graduating with a degree in economics in 1968. The stage was set for Donald to enter the family business. Donald joined his father's company, Elizabeth Trump and Son, after graduating. The company focused on middle-class housing in Brooklyn and Queens. Donald, however, had grander ambitions. He set his sights on Manhattan. His goal was to leave the Trump mark on the city's skyline. One of his earliest successes was the Grand Hyatt Hotel. This was the old Commodore Hotel, revitalized. The project, completed in 1980, established Donald as a major player in Manhattan real estate. He had taken a rundown building and transformed it into a gleaming symbol of luxury. More successes followed. Trump Tower, a luxurious skyscraper on Fifth Avenue, was completed in 1983. This was followed by Trump Plaza, a residential building, and the renovation of the Plaza Hotel. Donald was on a roll, his name synonymous with opulence and success. He wasn't just building buildings, he was building an empire. Donald Trump understood the power of a name. He carefully cultivated his image, making himself a recognizable figure. He appeared on magazine covers and talk shows. He wrote books, including the best-selling The Art of the Deal in 1987. This book cemented his image as a shrewd businessman. It offered advice and insights into his deal-making strategies. He ventured beyond real estate, putting his name on everything from airlines to steaks to a board game. Trump became a brand, a symbol of wealth and aspiration. His name adorned casinos in Atlantic City. He even purchased the New Jersey Generals, a professional football team. However, his ventures weren't always successful. Some businesses, like Trump Shuttle and Trump Steaks, failed. He faced several bankruptcies, most notably with his casinos in Atlantic City. Yet, he always bounced back, his personal brand seemingly unscathed. Donald Trump's interest in politics wasn't new. He had considered running for president before. In 1988, he flirted with the idea as a potential third-party candidate. He even made a brief foray into the Reform Party in the late 1990s. However, his true political aspirations emerged later. In 2011, he became a leading voice in the birther movement. This movement questioned Barack Obama's birthplace and legitimacy as president. Trump's vocal involvement raised his profile among conservatives and those disillusioned with the political establishment. He considered running for president in 2012, but ultimately decided against it. However, he had tasted the political waters. He had seen the power of his celebrity and message. The experience laid the groundwork for his future political ambitions. In 2015, Donald Trump announced his candidacy for President of the United States. He entered a crowded Republican field, considered a long shot by many. His campaign was, well, unconventional. He eschewed political correctness, making controversial statements about immigrants, Muslims, and women. His message resonated with a segment of the electorate who felt ignored by the political elite. They were drawn to his outsider status, his business acumen, and his promise to make America great again. His rallies were massive, filled with enthusiastic supporters. He defied expectations, winning the Republican nomination and then the general election against Hillary Clinton. His victory shocked the world, ushering in a new era in American politics. Donald Trump's presidency was anything but ordinary. He governed much like he campaigned, boldly, unconventionally, and often controversially. From day one, he enacted policies that shook up the status quo. He withdrew the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. He imposed tariffs on goods from China, sparking a trade war. He also made good on his promise to build a wall on the US-Mexico border, a move that ignited fierce debate. On the domestic front, he signed into law a major tax cut bill. He appointed 2 conservative justices to the Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. These appointments shifted the balance of the court, potentially impacting American jurisprudence for decades. His presidency was also marked by constant turmoil and controversy. He faced accusations of obstruction of justice related to the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. He clashed with world leaders and alienated longtime allies with his America First approach to foreign policy. Throughout his presidency, Donald Trump remained a polarizing figure. His supporters praised his willingness to challenge the status quo and his commitment to putting America first. They lauded his economic policies, particularly the tax cuts, and his tough stance on immigration. His detractors, however, viewed him as a threat to American democracy. They criticized his rhetoric as divisive and dangerous. They accused him of undermining democratic institutions and norms. They pointed to his attacks on the media, his disregard for facts, and his attempts to pressure foreign governments to investigate his political opponents. The country became increasingly divided during his time in office. The political climate grew more toxic, fueled by partisan rancor and a constant barrage of misinformation and disinformation. The social fabric of America seemed to be fraying at the seams. The 2020 presidential election was one of the most consequential in American history. It was a referendum on Donald Trump and his presidency. He faced off against Joe Biden, the former vice president. The campaign was bitter and divisive, reflecting the deep polarization in the country. Trump lost the election, but he refused to concede defeat. He made unfounded claims of widespread voter fraud. He filed numerous lawsuits, all of which were unsuccessful. His actions further divided the country and undermined trust in democratic institutions. On January 6, 2021, a mob of Trump supporters stormed the United States Capitol. They attempted to prevent the certification of Joe Biden's victory. The insurrection shocked the nation and the world. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of American democracy. Donald Trump's presidency was a tumultuous period in American history. He left an undeniable mark on the country, reshaping the Republican Party in his image and leaving a legacy of division and distrust. His presidency raised profound questions about the future of American democracy and the role of truth and facts in public discourse. His impact on American politics and society will continue to be debated for years to come. He tapped into a vein of anger and resentment among a segment of the population, giving voice to their grievances and anxieties. Whether his brand of populism will endure remains to be seen. One thing is certain, however: Donald Trump will continue to be a force to be reckoned with. His influence on American politics is far from over. His supporters remain loyal, and his ability to command attention and dominate the news cycle is unparalleled. Only time will tell what the next chapter holds for Donald J. Trump.